You can't throw a rock today without hitting an internet-connected device, and even the rock you're throwing is probably also connected to the internet. So anyone developing a wireless device has a lot of design questions today that they have to answer, like what protocols and technologies should I use, and what certifications will I need to get? Well, let's dig into it. In today's Tech Chat, sponsored by Wurth Elektronik, I'm joined by Ravindra Singh, a cellular specialist at Wurth Elektronik, to explore what it takes to develop wireless devices in the world today and take a look at Wurth's Adrastea-I. Ravindra, thanks for being here today. I'm excited for this.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, having me here on this panel.
I'm curious, could you give us kind of the overview of cellular technology? What technologies are we dealing with today? Kind of build the landscape for us.
Yeah, this is really very great question. Let me talk about the previous generations of the technologies. So actually the 3GPP is the responsible for providing the specifications and evaluation for the different cellular technologies. So way back in from 2G times, where the voice was main criteria for communication, cellular communication. Then the later point of time, the UMTS or the 3G was introduced, where the main focus of 3GPP was to have the mobile data kind of services. And then in 2008 onwards, the LTE came into picture, where the main focus was to have the mobile broadband and emerging expansion of the technologies. And as you can see, today's time we have 5G, where the main focus was to have the IoT kind of devices or the connected intelligent devices. And in future, if we'll go in 2030 onwards, we will have the next generation wireless, which is also known as the 6G. So where the 3GPP is working on currently.
Could you explain to me kind of what a cellular network looks like today?
Okay, so on the broader level, if you'll see from the 2G until 5G, the network architecture has been kind of where you have your device and which will communicate with your base station. In different technologies, the name of base station has changed. In 2G, it was base station. 3G, they called it the node V. In LTE, they called it as the E node V. In 5G, they called it G node V. But more or less, the concept is same, that base station who is receiving the signals from the device. And then you have the backend infrastructure. This is known as the core network. And then finally, you will have either the other device, other side, or the cloud platform where you will send the data. So let's just consider an example where some machine which is equipped with the LTE cellular connectivity. That machine is actually generating some data, and that data is being transmitted using the LTE technology to the base station or the G node, E node B. And then you have the core network, which eventually sends data to the cloud platform. And on that cloud platform, you can see your data, you can visualize your data, you can process your data, and you can make the decisions for predictive maintenance or any other kind of applications. Yeah.
So essentially, as a device or designer, developer sort of person, you care a lot about that device on the edge of the network and making sure that front haul connection works. And then you also care about making sure you can manage your data on the back end and you're getting the insights you need to make sure your devices are working and collecting data properly.
Exactly, yeah.
So when we look at how old 2G and 3G are, they're getting a little bit long in the tooth. People who are using 2G and 3G devices now, are people still using those? And when are those going to not be an option anymore?
Yeah, exactly. So if we'll see some of the reports from the market, which I could see, I read long time back from the Ericsson report, and they have projected that from 2029 onwards, the 2G or 3G, in so to say, the availability of those technology will be in just few countries or the area. So it is the high time that customers should start to focusing or to switching from their connectivity from 2G, 3G to latest technologies like LTE or the 5G, because those are the kind of technologies will work in at least in foreseeable future. So yeah, and it is expected that from 2029 onwards, you will not have much coverage for 2G and 3G of technologies, because they have done well in the past. But as the use cases are evolving, as the data speed requirements are going up and up, so it's better that customers should start thinking at least for the switching from 2G, 3G their devices to the latest technologies like LTE or the 5G.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more. But I'm curious, with more, but somewhere between 500 million and 1 billion connections out there on 2G and 3G, what should people be thinking about as they go to transition away from those into the new technologies, and what do those sorts of timelines look like?
Yeah, so exactly what I'm seeing from the market is that few customers are already in advanced phase. So that means they are already in the process of designing in with the latest technologies. So their old devices which they had with the 2G or 3G connectivity, they are already in the migration process for on the latest technology like LTE and 5G. There are still some customers who are lagging behind with the and they are hoping that those 2G and 3G technologies will exist. But to be very frank, there are many countries on which the 2G and 3G has been already switched off. And especially in the Europe, you will not find many countries where you will have the coverage for 2G and 3G. So it's the high time that customers should start thinking to switch from 2G, 3G to the latest technologies such as the LTE or the 5G. Yeah, because that is the future where they will have the coverage, because it's not viable for the network operators to keep the 2G and 3G technology, because they have to spend lots of money for maintenance, for enhancements, and while they will not generate the business from the 2G and 3G. So that's why from the network operator perspective also, if you'll see, it makes sense for them to invest in the new technologies in place of, investing the money on the to maintaining the old technologies.
So if you out there are developing a new wireless device that needs connectivity, it's probably, unless you have like a contract SLA from a network provider, going with a 2G or 3G connection is a not going to give you much lifetime for a product. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's true.
So if someone out there is looking to develop a new device that needs this sort of connectivity, can you talk me through what sort of offerings Wurth has and what parts of that portfolio might be interesting to them? Why use one over the other?
So Wurth can help with the customers with the two different type of connectivity solutions. So we have the short range connectivity solutions as well as the long range connectivity solutions. So short range means the short range wireless technologies or the protocols, like we have Bluetooth, we have Wi-Fi, we have proprietary modules, and while we talk about the long range connectivity solutions, we have the cellular modules. So the cellular module or cellular technology is the focus today, because we are talking about the 2G and 3G are switching off. That means they should migrate from 2G, 3G to the long range solution like LTE, and we can help customers with our product which supports LTE, Cat-M, and NB-IoT kind of cellular solutions.
And building a Bluetooth device is a very different challenge than building a device that's going to go out in the wild and have to get certified by the FCC and other governing bodies. What sorts of common challenges do you see people come across when they're trying to build a cellular connected device?
Okay, so major challenges when it comes is that first is that customer has to choose the right connectivity for their solution, right? So they have to decide whether they want the long range solutions or the short range solutions. Well, and they also need to consider is the coverage, and also consider the data rates which is required for their end solution. And based on that, if customer decides, okay, they want to go ahead with the technology like long range cellular technologies for short range Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or some proprietary technologies, Then the next step comes is they have to do the right antenna designs. They have to do the certifications because each technology has quite little bit difference in terms of certifications. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of design work that goes into making one of these, and that's where something like the Adrastea-I, I think, becomes really, really helpful for designers, is they're able to come in and my understanding is just kind of drop it in. You want to talk me through what it would look like to integrate a system like this and what you get from it?
Exactly. So Adrastea is our cellular module which supports LT, CATM, and NB-IoT. So it is the one module which supports two different protocols. It can help from the customers to have the one module for kind of global coverage. That means wherever in some countries there is no coverage for the LT CATM, then customer can switch the same device on the NB-IoT and the vice versa. Where the NB-IoT coverage is not there, they can switch and make use of the LT CATM. So one product for two different technologies, and it is very easy to switch from one technology to the other using AT commands interface.
So essentially, there are different coverages for different regions, and if you want your device to work globally, you need either two different designs, one that works in, say, Europe and one that works in, say, Africa. And with something like this, instead, you can just have one design, one device, one set of verification and testing.
Exactly. So that is the one part where we have two different protocols, LTCATM and NB-IoT. But inside the module, we also have the integrated GNSS. And this integrated GNSS supports two different type of constellations, GPS and GLONASS. That means the customer who is using our Adrastea module can make use of this integrated GNSS. But there is one small, because GNSS and LT, they both share the same hardware resources. So the customer cannot use the simultaneous functionality of LT and the GNSS together. But if they want to use one after the another, so for example, if customer wants to locate his device and want to send the data, then it's doable. But at the same time, if customer wants to do some kind of live tracking of some their products or the applications, then it's not possible because they both cannot work simultaneously.
So you could essentially pull location data, save it off, turn on your radio, send the information out over LTE, and kind of do it, maybe not real time, but that sharing of resources approach.
Exactly. In few milliseconds or seconds of delay will be there. Otherwise, yeah.
Okay. And that's probably good for power too. It's, how often do you really need to pull location data? I guess it depends on the use case. That is a significant difference in bandwidths and capabilities. Are you using like different antennas? How do you get them both into the same device without just having two devices?
Exactly. So what we have is that our the hardware is the same, and we have two different firmwares. So for LT CATM and NB-IoT, so customer can choose using AT commands. So it's also possible that he can switch on the runtime. So that means he does not has to choose the firmware upfront, but both firmwares are already installed inside the Adrastea module, and customer can choose based on their AT commands or based on the coverage. And another feature which Adrastea offers is that it has automatic selection also. That means, let's say you have deployed your device somewhere in the country where there's no network for the NB-IoT, then the Adrastea offers is the automatic switch. Means if NB-IoT connectivity or the coverage is not there, it will automatically switch to LT CATM. This is really very good feature, I would say, because customer does not has to find the coverage upfront in different countries. They can just configure all of their devices in the automatic mode selection, and then they can deploy the devices, and the device will be intelligent enough to find the coverage and connect on the network.
That sounds incredibly useful. And that way you're avoiding the same problem before where you had to have different designs. Even with the same design, if it can't intelligently sense what networks are active, then essentially you have to have two boxes, one for one technology and one for the other if you want to deploy this at scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
So This sounds like a super useful device overall. Can you tell me more about Adrastea-I's key capabilities?
Yeah, so as I told that it supports two different technology, LTCAT-M, NB-IoT. It has integrated GNSS. Apart from that, what it has is the integrated microcontroller. That means this microcontroller is ARM Cortex-M4, which is only for our customers to develop their applications. So eventually, the Adrastea has two different microcontrollers. One is for modem, which has the running code for LTCAT-M and NB-IoT. The other Cortex M4, which is completely free for the customers to develop their applications. That also is being integrated inside the Adrastea, and current Adrastea module supports or is the comply with the release 13 of 3GPP features. And in future, we are planning also to upgrade on the release 14 firmware. And it comes with different type of interfaces, like it has USIM interface and it has UART for host controller, it has I2C, SPI, GPIO. So different type of interfaces which are generally used in the industry, and it supports more or less all nowadays used IP protocols like TCP, IP, UDP, and it also has the application protocols like MQTT, HTTP, HTTPS, LW, M2M, or yeah. So more or less, whatever you need for your device, it's kind of out of the box solution where you just need to need to buy the hardware from us, which has all protocols, everything included, and just configure as per your application requirements. We offer the AT commands to configure those protocols and to make use of it to send the data and receive the data.
So if you're trying to get your devices developed quickly and not have to worry about trying to integrate all the right parts and make sure all your technologies work, this one is a known good entity that you can plop in that's going to do almost everything you need here, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Once you have this put in place in your design you're developing with it, can you talk about certifications and actually the tricky part, the legality of actually getting these things out into the world and into the wild?
So this is really a very interesting question, and lots of customers are struggling to find the answer for cellular certifications because it's a little bit complex, and that is different from some other kind of technology certifications. So in cellular, there are three different type of certifications which customer needs or we also needs at the our module level. So first the type of certification is the regulatory certifications, which is common for all type of RF technologies. So these are kind of, each country has those regulatory certifications. Like in Europe, we have CE or the RED. And if you go in the USA, you need to have the FCC, and in Canada, IC. So every country has different type of regulatory certifications. And then the second type of certification comes is the industry-specific certifications. Like in Europe or Asia, the most widely used certification is the GCF certification, which is very specific to the cellular certification. In US, we have different kind of PTCRB certification, where different network operator ask for the PTCRB certification. And the third part, after once you have the regulatory certification and industry level certification, the third type of certification is the mobile network operator certification. So some of the operators, what they demand is that, okay, you have your GCF or the PTCRB certification, but we also want to certify your device that this should not harm our network. So that is very specific certification, where this is kind of optional certification, where some network operators only trust on the GCF or the PTCRB certification, while some network operators ask for their own extra certification. But what I would like to highlight here is that our Adrastea already has the GCF certification in place, and we already have the CE certification, and we are in the process of acquiring the FCC certification for US market. And our module is already certified from Deutsche Telekom in Europe.
So there are a lot of people who have a say in whether or not you can put this out on the street. um,
Yeah,
and getting as much of that work done ahead of time is, in my experience, what I've seen, just absolutely critical to getting devices to market fast.
exactly. Yeah.
One of the things that I see often with this type of device is it has a great list of specs and capabilities, and the data sheet looks great. But then when I go to look at the overall supporting environment, the tool chain to actually make this happen, it can be really difficult to actually implement, even though it has the features in there. Can you talk through how you've developed documentation and a tool chain that makes developers successful with the Adrastea-I?
Yeah, so as I told you that Wurth Electronics is known for more than you expect. So what customer needs, we always provide more than that. So what we have is that we have the data sheets for sure, we have the user manuals, we have 80 command manuals where we have listed all sort of 80 commands which can be used for our customers can make use of those 80 commands to configure the protocols, to use different type of communication part, or to select the technologies. So all those microcontroller related 80 commands and modem related 80 commands are written in separate documents. Then we have the evaluation boards. So using that evaluation boards, customer can quickly check their the capabilities, or the he can do quick tests on the evaluation boards using evaluation boards. So for that we offer different documentation which is called as the evaluation board user manual. So inside the evaluation kit, we already offer out of the box evaluation kit, which will have the evaluation board, which will have the GNSS antenna, LT antenna, which will also have the USB, micro USB to operate through the UART communication, and also the power up supply is also available inside the evaluation kit.
I love a good eval kit. That's I have a whole
Exactly.
box of them over here.
So apart from that, we also have lots of training materials which is available either in the channel, like in YouTube videos. We have some app notes, very good written app notes, like if you want to connect your device directly from ground or from field to the AWS cloud, then how you can communicate or connect your device using MQTT protocol. So that sort of app notes are also available. And what we provide apart from that is the Adrastea Commander tool. So it is sort of software which customers can use to evaluate our evaluation boards or our products, And this Adrastea Commander tool is designed in such a way that, you can run the 80 commands, you can check the network status, and you can run the sequence of 80 commands, you can save the 80 commands, and you can have the logs also. So if you want to check the complete sequence of 80 commands, what you have run over the last few days or few minutes, or whatever time frame it is, you can have complete logging system also is available on the Adrastea Commander tool. And inside the Adrastea Commander tool, the one tool can be used to evaluate your cellular functionality as well as the GNSS functionality.
So you can do a lot out of this tool, and it's all GUI based, so you don't have to be in the command line trying to make sure you're hitting all the right keys.
Exactly. So that was the idea behind developing this tool, that once our customer is buying the evaluation from us, then he can download directly this software from our website weonline.com, and then he has complete setup. So he has the tool, he has the evaluation kit, he needs just in one SIM card to evaluate his complete product.
Again, tons of capability and support here, which I know for me, if I'm trying to build something, that's an essential part of it. Let's talk form factor a little bit. It's a Featherwing form factor. So could you walk through the Feather format for folks who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, so for the Feather format is kind of standard. where many companies offer their product to evaluate in those form factors. So we also have different type of feather wings on the feather form factor, and to evaluate the any product, just customer needs to stack those form or feather wings on top of each other, and it's kind of Lego game for the customer, and they have to just develop the software to communicate with each other, and it's sort of very easy for customers to develop any prototype applications. Of course, they are not recommended for the end applications, but to develop some prototype applications, this is most efficient way to use those kind of feather wings. So we offer different type of feather wing for different products. We have for sensors, we have for our Wi-Fi modules, we have for LT module, cellular feather wing also. And good thing is that we provide some sample examples, and those examples are already available on the GitHub, which our customers can make use of it and can quickly do the demo or the kind of a small version of their applications if they want to test their application. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear more about who is starting to implement and use these devices in their designs. What sort of applications and use cases do you see?
So there are multiple applications. The main focus where Wurth Elektronik is focusing, especially the wireless connectivity and sensor division, is the industrial applications. So let's consider an example of construction lighting, where you have some sort of construction site where you need to monitor the data or monitor the complete site. Then based on that, you have some sort of cameras, or you can have some sort of sensors, because you want to also monitor those temperatures and everything of that site. Then those kind of application, industrial applications, our solutions fit very good, where they can the sensors or can generate the data, while those radio technologies or the connectivity part can be used to transmit those data up onto the network, where you can remotely monitor those those generated data. Yeah.
That's very clever. So you take something that is always going to be on a construction site, like everyone needs lighting, and you can up-level that and turn it into something that's way more useful than just a light.
Exactly. So if you'll see some other applications, like wearable smart helmet, so that is very useful case where that helmet is equipped with the sensor as well as the some cellular technologies. And whenever, let's say, unfortunate incident happened where the driver met in the accident, and then in that case, the sensor will activate and will generate the data, and it can directly, cellular module or connectivity can be used to directly communicate with your SOS, or it can also be used to send some messages to your through the pupils who can take care of, on that case. Yeah.
I was just looking at something like this for, I mountain bike quite a bit. And if I'm out alone in the mountains and crash, there's a little device I can put on my helmet that will, let my family know I need help.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we'll see at some other examples also, like a smart tooling is a very good example where, your tools can be equipped with the sensors, and those sensors like vibration sensor or the acceleration sensors can generate the data, and those generated data can be sent using the LTE technology to the field or the cloud, where you can monitor the health of the those tools. If you need the maintenance of the tools, you can do the sort of predictive maintenance, or before that tool completely shut down, it is not able to work, you will recognize the features.
And you could even potentially manage a whole fleet of tools if you're running a multinational construction company.
Exactly.
How's our whole system doing? Interesting.
Exactly. You can locate those tools. You can manage complete those tools where those tools are located. So you can do many more things once the tools are in the field, and those tools are generating data and sending to the cloud. Then you can do a lot of things like maintenance, finding the tools. Another example I can give or talk about is kind of a smart home or a smart appliances. Let's say your washing machine or air condition, they are equipped with the cellular modules, and then you can remotely control them. You can check them, the health of those equipments or the applications.
And then I know asset tracking is always a thing. I've never thought about it for livestock monitoring.
Yeah, so this is really a very interesting applications, because generally those livestock are kept outside of cities where you need big grounds or big areas where you need coverage, So let's say your livestock are equipped with one sort of belt in their neck, and that has some sort of cellular modules. So you can track them, and if those belts are equipped with some sort of sensor, then you can also monitor the health and state of the livestock.
So clearly there's so much that can be done with the Adrastea and with cellular connectivity. If someone was interested in adding this to their device, or they wanted to go get a dev kit, where should they go? And if they have questions or want to learn more, who should they reach out to?
If our customer needs anything, we are there to support them. They can write us on wcs@weonline.com, or they can reach out to our sales colleagues who are there to support our customers. As I have already indicated in the starting of my talk with you, that we are here with the motto of more than you expect. So we are here to support our customer. We are service leader and we are here to support the customers. They can write us, they can call us, and we will provide the information. They can reach out to our sales colleagues also.
Well, Ravindra Singh, thank you so much for being here today. This was a fascinating conversation.
Thank you very much, Daniel, and it's nice to talk to you, and I wish good day for you also.
Well, we're out of time for today's Tech Chat. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you to today's sponsor, Wurth Elektronik. I'm Daniel Bogdanoff, and I'll catch you next time.